Hi everyone, Mr Hansen here. This is my assembly. It's entitled Why Good Ideas Only Work If You're Brave, or My Problem with US Basketball. Now, I'm a big football fan. I wouldn't say I'm a sports fan, I only really watch football, but I can appreciate someone who's top of their sport. For example, like Messi or Ronaldo, just the sheer fitness and strength and skill that they've got, or Djokovic and Nadal and Federer in tennis. I like to dabble in a little bit of exercise myself. I do a bit of running over lockdown. I've got a bit of a routine going. I thought I was doing pretty well. I do a 5K where I managed to run 22 minutes and 15 seconds. And I was intensely proud of that record until I realised that the record for a 10K is like 12 minutes shorter than that. Mo Farah's is 13 minutes. It's made you realise just how good professional athletes are. And one of the things professional athletes do is when you have someone who's the best at their sport, it brings other people up to their level. Because when you see someone like Ronaldo with specific training regimes and his dietary plan and things like that, then other players copy that to try and emulate him and to reach his level. And you'd think that that's a sensible move. It's not the case with basketball. Now, I'm not a huge basketball fan. I can't really say I've watched a great number of games. I don't know who the best team is at the moment. But like me, you'll probably have heard of Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, Scottie Pippen maybe. You've probably maybe seen the new Netflix show The Last Dance, which is about the final year of Michael Jordan's career at the Chicago Bulls. And me and my wife are absolutely loving that at the moment. But have you heard of Wilt Chamberlain? Because until recently, neither had I. Wilt Chamberlain holds 72 NBA records. Some of those records are considered unbreakable, which means that the basketball authorities, the NBA, think that they will never ever be broken, no matter how far into the future they go. The big two records that stand out for me for Wilt are, number one, Wilt is the only professional basketball player to have hit 100 points in a single game. The closest score to him is 81. So his highest score record is nearly 25% higher than what anybody else has got in the world. His second one is that he scored the most points in a single season. He hit 4,029 in 1961 to 1962. And the next best one, the second place in that record, is him as well. The year after, he ended up getting 3,600. The next person after him is Michael Jordan, and he only managed to get 3,000 points in 1986 to 87, which in comparison is pathetic, right? So the weird thing about Wilt is his story. He starts his career as what you would probably describe as a good basketball player. He wins his team some games, but he has his weaknesses. Then in 1961 to 63, he ends up at a completely different level statistically. But then, as quickly as he breaks these records, he stops. So after 2 seasons, Wilt goes back to being that good basketball player. Nothing outstanding. So how does he do that, and where does he go? Wilt is 7'1", which is tall. Well, most basketball players are pretty tall, around that height. It was actually because Wilt tries something different. Now, to understand this, you need to understand one of the moves in basketball. And in basketball, there's a type of play called a free throw. And they're known as a bit of a nuisance for people attacking, because if you're a defender worried about a player scoring from open play in basketball, you just foul him. And that forces them to take a shot with a free throw. And so you get someone who's really good in open play, really fit and strong, like LeBron James, who's really dangerous. He's terrible at free throws. He can't throw it, so people just foul him, and he ends up missing the shot he gets given. He scored 75% of them in his career, which means that 1 in every 4 shots he'd miss, right? Which is way better a chance than just letting him slide past you and get a certain 3 points, right? Generally speaking, if you get 80% free throws going in, then that's great. Like, people see that as a really good ratio, right? Wilt Chamberlain's, before he broke his records, his percentage was 50%, right? So Wilt was a pretty good basketball player, and he scored some points, he was quite good at defending. But every opposition player knew, right, just foul Wilt Chamberlain. He's rubbish at free throws. He's going to miss them, right? But then Wilt tries something different. Now, he played for the Philadelphia Warriors, and in a match against the New York Knicks on March the 2nd, 1962, this is the game that Wilt breaks his points record. And in that game, Wilt scored 28 free throws, and he only misses 4, which works out at 88% free throw score, which is crazy good. And it's this point on that Wilt manages to break all those season records as well. Now, it's not just luck. Wilt started listening to some advice given to him by his coach and did something that felt so weird to basketball players. He started using something called a granny shot. Now, most people, when they take a free throw, you've seen it basketball, you recognise it. Free throw, you stood there, you throw it like that. Sort of, not overarm, but from your chest, right? He started throwing it under his legs, underarm. There's no rule against it, so why not do that? So there, Wilt starts breaking records. He scores the most assists in the season with 8.6. He takes the most shots in this game without missing, which is 18. He had the highest scoring average in the season, getting an average of 50 points a game in a year. He had the most 50-point games in any single player's career with 118. Yet suddenly, after 1963, Wilt Chamberlain falls back in line with everybody else. Yes, he carries on being a good player, but he never gets close to that 100 points again. And his records are all totally done and finished by 1963. Why is that? It's as simple as Wilt gave in to peer pressure. Wilt stopped taking granny shots. He started taking shots the way he did when he had an average of 50%, which clearly wasn't working for him. When he was interviewed about it, Wilt said that he felt embarrassed. He didn't feel like a proper basketball player. The other basketball players insulted him. They made jokes about his style on the court. He stopped doing his granny shots and went back to the standard way of doing free throws. His percentage went back to 50%, but why did he care? He was better than all of them. His scores were phenomenal. But that was it. That was the end of Wilt Chamberlain's record-breaking career. Do you know how many basketball players have tried the granny shot since? 2. Nobody dares go back to it. Why? It's not against the rules, and it's winning games. What that's saying is Wilt Chamberlain would rather not look a bit silly and lose his team a game than do something different from his peers and win his team games. Imagine the career he could have had. Imagine the Philadelphia Warriors if he'd carried on doing that, right? So, bringing it back to our lives and our real lives, as this new, rapidly adapting world dawns on us, the story shows us that these are opportunities for us to excel. You have to make the most of opportunities like this. The puzzle pieces that have never fit before will now fit in a way they never have before. Doing your schoolwork from home does feel a bit bizarre, right? I know teaching from home feels really weird, right? It sure as hell feels really weird. But every lesson, we adapt and we improve. If I spot a chance to take that granny shot to help us win and teach a little bit better, or you guys learn a little bit better, then I take it. And then so should you. Don't be afraid to think outside the box. Too many people fear change. Those of us brave enough to try something new may find odd hurdles, but please don't be a Wilt Chamberlain. Try and break the mold. Thanks very much.